Hi there, I'm Amy. I'm the teen librarian at the York Library, and in this video I will be teaching you how to make one of these star origami ornaments. As you can see, we're making them out of recycled book pages. This goes along with the Take and Make kit that I have for the teens this month, but with this tutorial you can make your own ornament with the materials that you have lying around the house. To make this, you will need an old book page, a ribbon, a sewing needle or other object to poke a hole in the paper for the ribbon to go through, and a pair of scissors. Now, if you have the Take and Make kit, you won't need the pair of scissors because your book page has already been cut down to size. The other thing I should address right off the bat is the whole part about tearing pages out of books. I know the very thought of damaging a beloved book sounds like an abomination, and I'm certainly not trying to suggest that you go tearing into a brand new book. But see, books, like their stories, have a beginning and an end. These are old books with stains and pages falling out, books that have been loved to death. And now there's nothing left to do with them except to find a way to give them a new life and a new form. And fortunately, there is no limit to the ways that we can recycle old books. These origami stars are just one of them. So with that, let's begin. First things first, we have to take this rectangular sheet of paper and make it into a square. So to do that, we're just going to take one corner here and fold it diagonally downwards. And make sure that your corners there are nice and sharp. It'll give you a more perfect square at the end of all this. I remember many a times having to cut pages down to size because I only had printer paper to work with. So I'm very familiar with this. But then all you have to do is take your pair of scissors and then cut along that line there. We're just cutting off the excess. Roughly follow this line. And now we have a square. Isn't it lovely? But now we have to make this square into a pentagon. And in order to do that, we're going to fold it in half. Yes, fold it. I guess it doesn't matter if it's hot dog style or hamburger style when it's a square. Just take a half and fold it into it. And once it's folded in half, take the folded edge here and have it facing towards you. When it's facing towards you, take this bottom left corner here and fold it up, much like we just did to make the square. And fold that in, press it flat, and then unfold it. Take the top left corner here and fold it down in the opposite direction. Press it flat, and then when you open it back up again, you should have this nice little X marks the spot center point there. So then we're going to take this bottom right corner here, and we're going to fold this corner to meet that center spot there. That little cross section, we just want those two to line up. And then press that in, and then take this folded over part and fold it back over, so that these edges align along the edge here. And press that flat. And once that is done, we're going to just turn that page around, upside down, and then we're going to take this new top right corner here and fold this whole piece over so that this folded edge lines up with this folded edge. Get those nice and cozy together like that. Pressing that flat there. And next, we're just gonna take this and fold it, just open it, and we want these two back parts here to touch, and press it flat. Now on this side, it's just one piece, but on this, we have the other layers. So we're just gonna look for this bottom line here, that straight line across, and pick up our scissors for the last time, and just cut along that line there. And I know cutting is like the biggest no-no in origami, but we are literally cutting out so much unnecessary time and energy when we can just do it this way. There is a way to do it without cutting, and if you want to go look up the harder way to do it, you are more than welcome to do so. But this is just an easier way to get a perfect pentagon. And also, it's a nice way to get these foundational creases in here that we need. Now, if you got the Take and Make kit, then you just got a flat piece of paper here. There are no creases in it yet. So before we move on to the next step, you'll want to get those creases into this flat sheet of paper. And to do that, you just keep folding it over and over and over again in half. We're just gonna fold it in half, unfold it, turn it, and fold it in half again. And now with origami, all of your folds come back into play. So if something doesn't line up right or doesn't look right from the beginning, it's not going to get any better. It's going to mess things up later on. So it's best when you're making these folds to try to make them as lined up and as precise as possible. Make your corners as sharp and as even as you can, because it will pay off later down the road. That being said, like some of these edges are not lining up correctly, and that is just fine, because later on we'll have another opportunity to restructure them to make sure that, you know, things are lining up the way that we want to. So try to get it nice, but don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. And once we've gone around and folded the pentagon in half over and over and over again, we should have creases through every side and every corner. So just a nice big old asterisk there. So I'm gonna move back to this previous piece. So then now that we have those folds, we can start with the next step, which is that we're gonna take this bottom piece here, this bottom side, and we're gonna fold it about 2/3 of the way up the pentagon. Then we're gonna use these top two corners here as our markers, that there's a crease running through both of them. And so we're gonna fold these two corners here at the bottom up until they intersect with that creased line. Just about there, and press it flat. And now we're gonna unfold it, rotate it, and do the same with this the new bottom layer, or bottom side. And you're going to be hearing this a lot, that everything we do on this, we have to do to each and every side. So there's going to be a lot of unfolding and rotating and repeating steps until you're sick of them. And around here it starts getting tricky because there are so many different creases going on. It's hard to tell which one is which, but just keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on these two corners here and those creases coming out from there. All the other creases do not matter at this moment. You're just looking at those top two corners. And then, once we have that, all of those folded there, nice and neat, you'll start to see that we have a little star shape working there in the folds. That's a good sign. So then we're just going to take a corner, doesn't matter which corner you start with, and we're just going to pinch it downward. And then as you pinch that, you will naturally get to a point here where this side wants to fold in and this side wants to fold up, and that is perfect. That's exactly what we want. We're just going to pinch that and fold the bottom up and the side in, and they're both working off of those folds that you just created along there. So we're just gonna fold those together and press them into place. And as you may have suspected, we will then unfold it and rotate it and do the same thing with the next corner. Oh, that one doesn't want to go. There we are. And this is exactly what I meant. This is the next stage where you have a second chance to make everything nice and neat. Because these points here that are sticking out, that little part jutting out, that is going to end up being the point on your star, or one of the points on your star. So you really want to make sure that that point is nice and crisp, that these lines are smooth, and everything works well together. Because that's the part that's going to be showing the most later on. Just gonna keep working our way around. Folding in the sides, folding up the bottoms, making sure we have our little point jutting out there until we have worked our way all the way around the pentagon. All right. But once you have done that, once you've gone around, you will see that there is now a little wedge-shaped triangle in each of the sides. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to fold those together, kind of accordion style, just like that, like the pleats in a skirt, and we're going to press them together. And we're going to do that on each side, so we're just going to fold those together, press them together, round and around we go. And we're only folding it up until this point, because that's as far as the crease extends. So that by the end, we will have this nice little flower-shaped bowl. But that's not what we're going for. We're going for a star. So we have to come to the next part, which is the trickiest stage, that we are going to do what I like to call the smoosh method. It's a very technical term that nobody uses. If there is a technical term, I just don't know what it is. Where we are going to gather gently and carefully, gather the top parts of this bowl here, and we're going to push them together. And we're going to hope that they all line up. That I find that it's easiest to kind of press in during these concave kind of moments here. Just push those in, and with any luck and a little maneuvering, they should all line up and fall together. Just like that, you see? Now don't force it, that's the very important thing, because we are not making any new folds when we do this. So if it feels like you're forcing it, if it feels like you're making a new fold, then you're not doing it correctly. Open it back up, see how it works. Let the paper breathe, let the paper speak to you, because we're working with the paper here, not against it. With it, not against it. But just keep folding that in, and hopefully it'll all collapse in on itself, just like so. And you'll have this nice little pinwheel kind of star. And once that's all together there, press it flat. That little part didn't want to go. But press it flat, and then flip it over. And on this back side here, you'll see a new, smaller little baby pentagon. And we're going to take one of the corners of the pentagon, doesn't matter which one you start with, and we're going to fold it over and fold it halfway in on this point here. Just like that. Make everything nice and neat and sharp, and then move on to the next point. And we're going to take this point, and we're going to fold this one in halfway up the point there, making it nice and smooth, and these will be overlapping one another. And we're going to work our way around just like so. And when all is said and done, we will have a brand new beautiful star. Oh, it was a little too far over. There we are, press it flat. And last one. Last one always gives me the most trouble, and that's okay. Just gonna fold that down. Fold it across. And there you go. You have a beautiful new star, an origami star that you made all by yourself. Isn't it lovely? And now you can do with it whatever you'd like, but for these purposes, since we're here to make an ornament out of it, we're going to take up our ribbon and our sewing needle again. And once again, you can use anything that you'd like in order to poke a hole in the piece of paper. The sewing needle is just easiest because it, is a nice way to pull the ribbon through as well. But you can use whatever you'd like. I even used a toothpick when I was experimenting with all of this, and it worked. But these are very small little points on this star here, so the toothpick was a little bit too wide and ended up tearing some of the paper. So I'm not sure that I would suggest that again, unless you're working with a bigger piece of paper. So we're just going to take our ribbon here and we're going to thread it through this needle. Right there through the eye of the needle. These have very large eyes, which makes it very easy. And then with the ribbon on our needle, pick a point of your star that you want to be the top. I think I want it to be this one. And then we're just gonna poke the needle right on through. Be very, very careful not to stab yourself in the process. And now, like I said, because these stars are so small and these points are so small, be careful and very gentle not to tear the paper in the process. Also, because these are recycled books, there's a good chance that the book paper is already pretty fragile from being turned a whole bunch of times, or stained with our tears as books and characters made us cry. So just be gentle with it. And especially when we get to this part where we're trying to pull the ribbon through, don't rush it. Be patient and just wiggle it until we get that ribbon through. It will be stubborn. It does not want to do this. But with some patience and finagling, we will get it through just like so. So I'm gonna just pull on one end of the ribbon here to pull it through. Try not to pull the whole ribbon through. You don't want to start all over again. And then from there we can remove the sewing needle. We're done with that. Refold the star together if, like me, you just totally unfolded it. And the last step is to take your ribbon and tie a knot in it. Easy peasy. Maybe if you're feeling really fancy, you can tie a bow in it. I'm not feeling that fancy right now. Come on. There we are. And now we have a knot and we have an ornament. There it is. Isn't she beautiful? She's absolutely gorgeous. You've made new art from old art. Isn't that wonderful? But that's it. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I would love to see what you create with your old books. So be sure to share them on the York County Library's Facebook page or tag us on Instagram using #York County Library. Thanks for watching. Happy crafting and happy holidays.